Welcome to the next episode of the Culture and People podcast. Ashley, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
So my name is Ashley Wricks, and I am the Human Resources Business Partner for Acelero Learning in the Wisconsin Delegate. So Acelero Learning provides Head Start and early childhood services across the nation. And we also have a sister company, Shine Early Learning. And so I am responsible for the Wisconsin Delegate, so for the state of Wisconsin.
Oh my gosh. And I loved being an HRBP. It was my favorite role in HR.
Yeah, I would say coming to this point in my career, it is also mine.
Mm-hmm. So what's the best thing about working in this people and culture space for you?
So for me, I would say the best part would be about, what would I say? It's so many things. I think it's just the job itself. Being that partner, being able to strategically build something that's strong and inclusive, being able to be that change agent, and be a part of something and draw people and connect people to a mission is something that I feel is the onus of our field in our area. And it's my favorite thing about what I do is being that partner.
Yeah, I love it. I think that change agent is totally right? The power that the HR function doesn't get enough credit for. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So Ashley, I'm hearing from other leaders in this space that engaging your employees is a challenge. What are your thoughts?
So I would say it is challenging, right? And I think it's challenging because that is the challenge, right? To create an engaged workforce, a productive workforce that's high functioning. And I think that it's an area where you can measure your success, right? But it also tells the story of your organization. It's almost like when a doctor takes your pulse, like your engagement levels let you know just how healthy your organization is. And so over the course of my career, I've found that I've replaced the word engagement with trust. And I feel like if you can measure how you're building trust and baking that into your organization and mirroring that with the mission, that you then get the results you're looking for. Because when you run at it from like an engagement standpoint, or you run at it from, let's see if from an incentive standpoint, you're not looking at it for what it truly is. And engaging is all about building trust and pulling people together.
Oh my gosh, I think you nailed it. Because think about in your like just being a human.
Yep.
When you are around someone or interacting with someone who you don't fully trust for whatever reason, either you don't know them well enough or they have proved that you shouldn't, your behavior changes. I personally know that I become something slightly different. I'm nervous, I'm guarded, right? So therefore, the way I'm interacting with everybody around me. So trust is so foundational. I love that you nailed on that. So what advice, Ashley, would you give to the organizations working in this HR people operations space to advance their culture and their people strategy?
I would say the first step is to align and have shared goals between your business units, shared goals between your leadership teams. One thing that I've experienced right now with the organization I'm a part of is that once you're on the same shared goal and you have so many people running at the same thing, you're so much more successful with that. Also, trust. Replacing that engagement word with trust is really important. Building an inclusive culture that really look for the creative answer, right? The creative solution, and allow those creative minds to come to the table. So not doing what you've always done and then expecting a different result, but looking at different creative solutions and allowing your leaders to really shine and let them be who they are authentically. And in order to do that, you really got to bake it in that you are definitely supportive of people being their full self at work. They should be able to come to the table with their full self, because then that's where the creative ideas come from and they don't feel shut down with that. And I would say thirdly, it's don't be afraid to look for help outside of your organization. I think, especially in my space, working in early childhood education, there's so much that different programs can learn from one another. There's so many things that are out there, and we can, instead of reinventing things, really understand your space within your industry and knowing that the decisions you make from a people standpoint could either place you as the leader or put you in a place where you can be that support to other organizations. So really taking the charge seriously, making sure that the person that you have leading that ship has that mindset, that they have the mindset of inclusive team building and trust, and that they are open to creative solutions and new ways of looking at things.
Oh my gosh. This is, first of all, this is so interesting. It's the first time I ever got teared up on this podcast, because not because, you said anything too heart-wrenching, who knows what triggered me, but what I really loved, Ashley, was that when you talked about development at the beginning of this, that your advice, step number 1, was it hit me that for so long in my career, both personally as somebody who was a high potential and getting developed and all that stuff, but then also then later leading HR, is that I felt like development was always about changing the person, changing me. It's like a course correction. Come and fit into this box. And I don't like to fit into any box. So I always hated the development side of it personally, but really it's not. It's about helping you become more self-aware, understanding who you really are. What are your superpowers? What's your zone of genius, right? Oh,
yes. And everyone does have that light that they bring to their organization. And to speak to it, you just actually mentioned in what you just said, a solution, right? There is a solution to make development not to change the person, but to enhance their skills and abilities to be at the level that it needs to be with their light shining, right? So me coming into the organization, it's a funny story just how I've gone through the fire to like really grow and develop, right? But I've never stepped outside of that light, because I truly hold on to my authenticity. And I just had made it up in my mind that I have something to offer the organization from myself. And I feel like I've been so fortunate to be a part of Oscillero Learning, and the fact that that is built actually into our values is team and culture and open communication. So when I speak out and be the person in the room that has something to say, I can be courageous, right? And I feel like we need to let all of our leaders feel that they can be courageous, and let them feel like they have ownership. And it's really at all levels of the organization, right? And then you let people have their spark. That's what keeps people with you. That's what keeps people moving toward different roles. You can have successful succession planning, engagement, all these things that we keep wrecking our brains around in the field, thinking like, how can I get people to want to? Well, we got to make it where, there is a place for you all the way up. Yes, there's other things that are non-negotiable, so that you have to do, but there's these things that you can bring to the table that I can't. And also you have to be courageous enough to let your leaders know that they cannot keep looking for someone like themselves. And usually that's the issue, right? I'm looking for my next VP. I'm looking for someone who would approach this like me, when really the next VP might be someone who is not necessarily fitting into your mold, but might be the next mold for the future of your organization. So being courageous enough to say that and partner with the organization in that way, that's what makes you successful.
Oof, I love it. My second aha moment from this conversation was that disconnect when the leaders go to hire somebody like them, when performance issues happen, when they realize that person's not so much like them and it starts to feel uncomfortable. Oh my gosh, I just had this little light bulb.
And you have to have these really difficult conversations when it comes to that. Like as a business partner, I have very frank conversations when we're looking at succession planning. We're looking at things. It's like, you also have to remember you didn't start where you were. Right. So sometimes when I'm looking for someone just like myself, I also want them at my level. Like that doesn't exist, right? You were looking for someone who is ready for this challenge and has a light, has something only they can offer. And then you see wonderful things happen.
Oh my gosh, Ashley, this has been such a rich conversation. We didn't even get to our last 2 questions, but here's what I'll do. We'll exchange emails. I'll make sure to include the answers to those questions in the show notes for both the video cast and the podcast. But thank you so much for being a guest. This was a delight.
Yes, anytime.
All right.
All right.